Hello, Algebra 1. So today we're looking at 1.3, solving multi-step equations and inequalities. So this is very similar to what we've been doing. It's just they're getting more and more complicated, more layers to them. So without further delay, let's jump right into example A. Most people will look at these and they'll think, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and simplify this side and then switch to solving. And I think that's a great way to do it. So we can distribute the 2. And then continue simplifying, combine like terms. 2 and 3 will make a 5. And then from there, we can switch to solving. And so we're going to have a 2-step equation. I'll be honest, I like to do 2-step equations in my head as much as possible. Subtract the 5, divide by a -2. You might want to grab a calculator, but it turns out you're going to get 6.5. Now 13 over 2 is also an equally valid answer, but because we're supposed to graph these on a number line, it makes more sense to have a mixed number. And I'll go ahead and graph it, even though I don't like graphing equations usually, but I'll go ahead and graph it because it's a 6.5. To the right, the whole number would be 7. To the left, a 6. And yeah, you just put a dot there. Now, another way to solve these when you just have a single x inside there is you can start the problem by solving. You can start undoing things. You can subtract the 3 over. Then undo the multiplication of 2 by dividing by 2. And then subtract the 1 over and then divide everything by a negative. It's an equally valid way of doing things, but I think most people see that parentheses and they want to distribute, and that's fine by me. So for part B, we have a y in multiple places. So yeah, we're going to have to combine like terms, but before we can do that, we got to get y out of this parentheses. So yep, let's just go ahead and simplify. And now we can combine like terms. And from there, get y by itself by subtracting the 8 over. And because it's an inequality, we really have to graph it. Circle or a dot? Well, because it can be equal to 5, we're going to put a dot. And then read this from y's perspective. Y is less than or equal to 5. So we shade that way. Okay, I bet you guys could do this one on your own. But if you're still kind of struggling a little bit, follow along. If not, work it on your own and see if we get the right answer. Distribute. Combine like terms. And again, at this point, I like to do the rest of it in my calculator or in my head. Subtract the 9 over, we'll get -18 divided by 3. We'll get -6. Because it's an equation, I'm not going to bother graphing it. Because, I mean, honestly, it's just a dot on the graph. It doesn't really describe it any better than just reading it out loud. X is equal to -6. Okay, so for part D, we've got just a lot, you know, it's just adding layers to it. We've got to distribute in a couple of places on D. And then we got like terms in a lot of places here. And once we get it down to a 2-step equation, again, I like to do it in my head and subtract that 21 over. That's going to be a -7. Oh, but you know what? I'm going to be careful here because we've got that inequality symbol and I see a negative. So we're going to have this. But then when we divide by the -7, yeah, it's a good thing I wrote that out because when we divide both sides by a negative, the inequality relationship flips. So we need to flip that around and graph it. Circle, and it says greater than. All right, now they want you to try some. So I'll be quiet and I'll work through these, but they want you to try these on your own. So you can like skip ahead in the video to see the answers. So I'm just gonna be quiet and work these bad boys out. All right, and with the equals one, I'm not gonna bother graphing it, but inequalities we certainly should. So there you have it. Hopefully you got those right. Moving to the back, we've got a couple of word problems here. So again, with word problems, I like to kind of circle what I know and then identify what we don't know. Usually that's gonna be our variable, and then try to write an equation for it. So your school's drama club charges $4 per person, but they borrowed $400 to pay for costumes and props. After paying back the loan, the club needs to make a profit of at least $100 to pay for their pizza party. So that right there tells me it's an inequality. At least is usually greater than or equal to, so we'll figure this out. The question is how many tickets does the club need to sell in order to hit their goal? So we're trying to find out how many tickets. I want to make tickets my variable. Now, oftentimes with these word problems, there's different formulas that can help you out. This one uses a formula, it's a profit formula, income minus expenses, and we can totally use that to figure this out. So they want their profit to be at least $100. So at least 100 means greater than or equal to. They want it to be at least $100. But then their income is going to be $4 for every ticket for every person. So we're going to do 4 times T. That's going to be income. And then the expenses is they got to pay back the loan. So I think we got a good equation here that we can solve. So on 2 steps, I'm going to add the 400 over, get 500 divided by 4, and I get that the tickets need to be greater than or equal to 125. So to say that in English, they need to sell at least 125 tickets. All right. For example 3, you have exactly 96 feet of fencing to enclose a rectangular pen for your dog. Okay, that's a lot of information there. 96 feet of fencing. So fencing's going around. I'm going to draw a picture. Rectangular fence. So, okay, so that's perimeter. Basically, our perimeter is going to be 96 feet. To provide sufficient running space for your dog to exercise, the pen should be 3 times as long as it is wide. And they're asking us to find the dimensions of the pen. Well, okay, so to find the dimensions of the pen, I'm going to first have to figure out probably what the width is. So right here it says the pen should be 3 times as long as it is wide. Well, if I know how wide it is, I can find out how long it is, but I don't know how wide it is. I'm going to make that my variable. So because the longer one is 3 times, I'm going to put wide as the short side, and then 3 times that will be the long side. So 3 times as long as it is wide. So that's our relationship here. But since we're talking about perimeter, we'll go all the way around. So we're going to have x twice. We're going to have 3x twice. And by golly, I think we got an equation here. 96 feet for the fence is going to be equal to all these summed together. Combine like terms, you've got a bunch of them. Divide, and I get that its width is 12 feet, and then 3 times that means its length is, sorry about that, its length is 36 feet. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.